Welcome to the Halo Effect, hospitality stories with Ashley and Michael Donald. Hospitality isn't just our profession, it's our passion. With decades of experience and countless stories to share, we've navigated the highs and lows of this dynamic industry, not just as professionals, but as a husband and wife team tackling the challenges of business and life together. This podcast is your invitation to step behind the curtain of the hospitality world. We'll share real experiences, lessons learned, and the moments that have shaped our journey, offering inspiration and insights for anyone walking a similar path. Whether you're just starting out or have years under your belt, we're here to remind you that every challenge is an opportunity and every story has the power to inspire. Hello and welcome back to the Halo Effect Hospitality Stories with Ashley and Michael Donald. This is, well, it's the first episode we've recorded this year. We were back last week with ABCs of hotel marketing. We thought we'd take a little moment. This is we're recording this at our first full week back on Friday. So we're kind of the end Friday. Of the first week is in view. But it's a new year, new beginnings. It already feels like 2026 is firing ahead, even though we're only a week in. And today's episode is just a bit of a reflection on what we're kind of doing at the beginning of the year, what we're focused on, what we're building, what we're excited about. And we're kind of hoping that this might be interesting to other people who are sort of putting their plans together for the year. Ash, how do you feel about 2026? We're in there.
Yeah, really excited. And I think there's lots of kind of groundwork that we sort of set in place last year and towards the end of last year. That is just great to kind of see it now in that sort of implementation mode, and really looking forward to some exciting projects. So I think, looking back at last year, I always try to treat Halo as I would with any of our clients and ensure we've got plans in place, strategies,
but it's always a
tools.
Thing. It's the hardest one for us to do.
It's the hardest one because ultimately
we'll prioritize.
It's often ends up at the bottom of the priority list. And I think, I'll be honest and say I was really ready for a break at Christmas. And I think whilst,
it's okay to admit that.
Halo's, we had Halo's kind of marketing plans, content plans, strategies, goals, but actually coming back this week and just revisiting those, it's been, really inspiring to see. Actually, we did do a fair bit last year and looking at kind of, celebrating the wins and thinking what we want to carry forward for next year, and what we're looking in terms of kind of client projects and delivery and potentially new business opportunities as well. So feeling really good about 2026, feel really energized after fantastic Christmas, bit of snow, just all raring to go.
So what's your first week been like so
far? Friday has kind of come by very quickly. So for me, it was very much about just checking in with clients, just sort of, reminding everyone that we're back, picking up on any urgents that might have kind of come through during the holiday period. I have to say, I think most of our clients, we all sort of worked hard to enable ourselves to kind of have that break. I think everyone has genuinely come back feeling really refreshed and positive and, full of energy. So it's been really good to kind of reconnect with everyone, just to re-establish what our main priorities are, finalising some kick-off calls. So I'll be in London next week. I'm doing some face-to-face strategy meetings with the wonderful Montcalm team, looking at PR partnerships and marketing activities, and really just looking at how we kind of drive the brand forward. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've also been securing some speaking opportunities for our wonderful clients at some upcoming shows. So NoVacancy is on the horizon at the end of February, which is the first time it will be in London. It's a hospitality kind of trade show at Excel, a really stellar lineup of speakers across 2 days, lots of networking opportunities. And it would be remiss if I didn't mention that the Halo Effect podcast will be there moderating a panel on tour. So we'll make sure you've got all of those details and how to sign up for your free tickets in our show notes. I think this week from a client perspective has been checking in, re-establishing priorities, ensuring our plans are ready to be fully implemented. From a Halo perspective, it's been revisiting those plans. I think just looking at, where we can optimize our productivity, and I know we've got a sort of bit of a deep dive as we chat through coming up. But I think that we are very agile, and we can work at pace. But I do think there's some kind of tools in the background that we could and should implement.
It's so hard to make those decisions.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like we have this conversation with so many people, like big and small businesses. There's so much tech. There's so many opportunities, but it needs to work for you. It needs to work with your existing tech stack and all those sort of things. So it is really hard. It's very easy to have that kind of, I don't know, like you see a shiny new thing, that looks that's cool. So it's and for hotels, my gosh, there are just so many tools, so many that you don't necessarily need. But our advice always to them is to pull together a plan for your whole tech stack for everything, and don't just dive into something because it suits
one
because
particular
how many
area of the
times have
business.
you had to then invest twice as much money just to get an API that actually connects them with what you currently use? But also you don't want to get left behind. You want to make sure that you're keeping your business moving forward too. For me, it's been, I think you're talking about looking forward. I think a lot of the time it's the end of the year is, okay, I want to see that full year result for this and the progress on previous year. So that's kind of the sort of a fairly key thing for me and a lot of my clients at the moment. It's okay, what are the reports for last year saying? What are the full year reports? What are the opportunities to improve? And that's always the key to consistent improvement, isn't it? Continuous improvement is looking at those reports, finding out what opportunities there are, and then improving things as soon as possible. Setting goals for the next year. What is really interesting is, and it really reminds me of being back in operations at the time, because this is very much an operations thing. December is one of the absolute busiest months, and then everyone thinks, and then January is going to be quiet. It's going to be quiet. But actually, there's a whole bunch of people on holidays. All the holiday they've used up, and people are looking at their holiday reports. Oh, you need to use up X amount of holidays by the end of the March. We're going to have to put half the team on holidays. So the people that are left can be exceptionally busy. It is incredible, and also, on Black Friday, probably most hotels were saying, let's push to sell January and February and the quieter periods of time, probably to fill up the hotel at maybe cheaper rates, which ends up with really high expectations and things. So it can be more work even for a more limited number of people in the hotel. So the revenues might be down, but it could be an exceptionally busy time and stressful time for your teams. So
definitely. And then there's also all of that stuff in December. And I think I said it. Let's pick that up in January. Oh no, what have I left myself with in January? This
kicking it down the road, kicking the can down the road, isn't it?
Huge thing. One of the things, I know we used to do this at Turnberry actually, but I think is really useful for hotels and for any sort of hospitality venue is to almost have that moment of reflection of their festive period, what went well, feedback from the menus, the experiences, the partners that you maybe worked with, and almost do a bit of a debrief with your team while it's still fresh in your mind, and plan and package and get your festive 2026 boxed off now, and yes, you can revisit it and look at pricing and things like that, but I think whilst that's fresh in your head, it's good to look at that. And of course there's other sort of key moments in the diary coming up, whether it's Valentine's, Easter, school holidays, so it's sort of looking at those key calendar moments that happen every year, and just really doing it while you have this kind of period right now in January. I think it's a great time to plan ahead. That
exactly right. I mean, that the feedback, your general feel, as well as the reporting structure, if something has underperformed in the year, maybe your marketing plan didn't start early enough, or it was at the wrong time, or it wasn't clear enough, or something wasn't quite right with packaging, or whatever it might be. Now's the opportunity to set the wheels in motion to make it better for next year, and then there'll be still opportunities next year to probably improve it from there and there on in. It's a fairly key period of time. All right. So it's really important, basically, that you're thinking about the year ahead now. A lot of people already have their plans in place, but these reports might make a slight difference to
I think
planning.
often with budgeting and planning, that kind of can happen like September, October time. So it is, you will have a plan in some way, but I do think it's this is a great time just to look at the deliverables and the outcomes and the actualization of what that looked like, and then make any adjustments that you feel is necessary to go ahead this year and look at ROI and really just decide whether you take that forward. And I think I know that's some of the work that you're looking at in regards to CRM and looking at how certain campaigns have performed and doing that real sort of deep dive that will really then help to refine those plans. Already the framework is in place, but will just help you make more informed decisions with the on-property teams that we're supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other bit of feedback is from your teams as well, right? Speaking to your teams. A lot of people will be having their, what we used to call it PMPs back in the day, but just even the yearly reviews, just an opportunity to sit down for an hour with every member of your team and let them know what you're planning for the year and get their feedback and get their feeling for what could be better for the department or for the hotel, for the business or whatever it might be, because there's some valuable insights available to you. You just need to ask at the right time. It's not just about do you get a bonus or not. There's a lot more to it. Yes, that is probably very high on the list of priorities, certainly from the employee perspective, but making sure that it's the opportunity to share your vision and share your purpose with your teams and get their insights and make them feel part of the way forward.
Yeah, agreed. So coming back to, I suppose, Halo and our intentions and purpose for the year, in your mind, what are the key things that you feel we should be looking to, in addition to obviously the client work that we do, but from a sort of Halo business perspective, what are your key aspirations or intentions for the year?
For us, it's always about the customer at the end, for the actual customer experience. Now, obviously, our clients are customers of ours, but keeping a very clear eye on what the guests of the hotels who are our clients are thinking and doing and their behaviors and that's why we look at trends and we try and anticipate what is going to be in their minds and what they're thinking of for the next year. And I think communicating that then within the plans and communicating that to clients, I think is really crucial, because I certainly remember working in operations, we weren't looking at overall trends. No. Really, we were looking at data and what we knew of our own hotels, but we weren't looking at the sort of wider market.
More
and
broadly,
I think as a consultant, I think we have an opportunity to look at the wider picture, look at what's happening globally, look what's happening regionally, look at what's happening with other clients and share that information, which is just a really valuable little value add, I guess, for clients. So that's really important, and that's why we do the halo effect as well. It's the biggest reason we do that. Keeps us
on our toes,
forces us to kind of have a good feeling for that.
But just to kind of, that segues quite nicely into the ABCs of hotel marketing, which can be used for opening, storytelling, which we've sort of coined the sort of ABC framework for the work that we do. And it's very simple, which often these things are, and that's what makes it stick, but essentially audience, brand and communication. And I think that speaks again to your guest persona, and identifying your audience, their motivations, where they're coming from, why do they stay, what they're looking for in terms of that when they stay with you. So I think by understanding that helps us then to shape that brand and that storytelling and how we communicate, so it all comes back to the guest ultimately. And I think it's good to just remember that, because I think sometimes it can be very much, a rush to, well, what marketing channels are we on? What social platforms are we on? It's actually, well, which ones do we need to be on to reach the guests that are our target or aspirational target market?
And it applies really to anything, doesn't it? Like it's not just hotels. It's
of
all
course.
businesses. It can be external customers, guests. It can be internal as well. It's really important. We know a lot of clients talking about their employer brand as well. This is a time of year where people are thinking about, what's my next step? I've got my bonus for this year. I've passed my yearly review, and what's my next step? And I think it's such an important time of year. I always remember if someone ever handed in their notice to me and I hadn't seen it coming, I always thought, you know what, I've messed up there. I've clearly not communicated enough with that member of the team to kind of really know what their thinking was, and to be able to know, okay, this person is thinking of moving on this year. It'll probably be earlier. They're going to be looking, making sure that you're thinking about your succession planning, making sure that there's either someone in-house ready to step up who's training, or you're talking to recruitment agencies, whatever it might be, to kind of understand who's out there who might be interested in a role. Understanding that at the entry level and at the highest level within your business is really crucial, because this is a key period. There's no two ways about it. It is a key period, and it might be April, May before movement actually happens, but being ready for it, I think, is really, really good, and understanding your teams, which is such a key time to know
it is,
what's going on.
and great that you mentioned the employer branding, and I think that has been something that we have really enjoyed working on as part of any hotel launches, repositioning, and it's almost that the guest facing communications marketing is often what we would have in the past been sort of quite focused on, whereas we've done projects which have been a full 360, which has looked at that full employee journey as much as the guest journey, and how that all intertwines. So again, as you say, that moment of reflection for businesses, just to look at their guest, their employee journeys, communication touch points, is really a kind of key time. I wanted to, just while I'm in the kind of January sort of setting my resolutions, which I never seem to keep, but one of the things which really kind of sparked my interest, and it is something that I always endeavour to be as productive and efficient with my time as possible, but I was recommended by Sam Weston at 80 Days, thank you, Blinkist, which is an app which essentially condenses books into like 20-minute sort of summaries, which is a bit of a cheat's way of getting information. However, I would say that it's almost like a podcast, but it's just really condensed, but really key takeaways and highlights. And then of course you can go and do more research or
read the book,
get the audiobook, etc. But just as a little kind of injection of kind of knowledge in a little 20-minute window, if you're got kind of a spare moment, or you're kind of cleaning the house and just put your headphones in type thing. So I was listening to a sort of productivity based Blink, as they call it, and so a couple of really key takeaways which I've really tried this week actually, and it's been really interesting. So the first one is the Pomodoro Technique.
Sounds like a tomato.
It sounds like a tomato. So it was based on the guy that kind of came up with this used a timer, and it was a tomato based shaped timer, like the cooking one.
Really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
nice.
like dial it to 25 minutes. But his thought is that you should break tasks down into pomodoros, and a task could be 1 pomodoro, it could be 6 pomodoros, but you have a 20-minute timed focus period with no interruptions. So, switch off your alerts and just kind of get yourself into a focus. And I think this has been particularly helpful for me this week, just with really deep diving into content and some branding work that I just needed to kind of focus and be with my thoughts to get everything on paper. So you'll have your 20 minutes, and then at the end of that, 25 minutes, you have 5 minutes, and it's a genuine break. So you get up off your desk, walk around, make a coffee, then you come back. And then if you need to continue with the task, you set it for another 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Or if it's more of a project based, then you can split it up into kind of, 2 Pomodoros today, 2 Tuesday, 2 Thursday, etc. But it has really helped me to just kind of be really focused and actually just being really aware of how much time certain things take. And sometimes I've finished things a lot quicker than I thought, but it's really stopped me from getting distracted by alerts and feeling the urgency to reply to things immediately. So people know that I'm on top of it, when actually perhaps I didn't necessarily need one within 25 minutes. Of course, if something's urgent, you can kind of come back to it. So that's been really very helpful technique. And then the other technique, which I think we do in our own way, but it was just kind of really visual, was I suppose setting up your work tasks, and like we've done with our Trello boards and similar, where you've got all of your kind of like to-do tasks, and then you kind of can segment them off into your today tasks. Then you've got your in progress tasks, and then you've got your completed column. And one of the things which normally I'm quite manual. Sometimes I do like to write things down, and I just get my satisfied cross or check done in my notepad.
They get more and more dramatic as the week goes on, don't they? They cross off,
And I do still write a lot of notes, especially if I'm in a meeting, because I can just come back to them. But the beauty of having it in a very visualised and digital board is that you've got your completed tasks that you can do a sort of weekly wrap up and see how productive you've been that week, celebrate your wins, and often you'll be really surprised at what you've managed to achieve that week, and it just kind of gives that sort of almost like dopamine hit that yes, done this. But also I think it helps for us, for reporting back to clients on deliverables, if we're working on certain projects or certain on a sort of day rate, we can then really justify, okay, well, this is what we've done this week, if ever we need to refer back to that for any sort of reporting. So there's lots.
And the time is scheduled by a tomato as well, right?
And then you do your Pomodoro in terms of
you got 6 Pomodoros this
tomato
week.
Icons, exactly. And then there's that visual kind of columns could be on a whiteboard, it could be in your notebook. But one of the things which I know we've dabbled with Trello, with other apps, is I really do want to get that into some sort of automation system. I've used Asana before, and there's another app that was spoken about on this Blinkist session, which was ClickUp, which I think is a bit more comprehensive, a bit more of a learning curve to start, but you can build personal wikis, you can, there's AI integrations, there's kind of voice recordings that you can potentially record certain sessions, and then that will pull that into actions all within your app. It'll pull in ChatGPT, Claude, multiple apps, and you train your AI as your assistant essentially on your Halo tone of voice, for example. So there's I think technology is moving at such a pace, and yes, I do get the little magpie shiny new thing effect sometimes, but I would like to explore, and that's one of my commitments, is to just it doesn't have to be overly complex, but just lean on tech a little bit more from a Halo operations perspective, just so that frees up that time to do more client delivery, business development, work with Halo, etc. So that's my key focus.
You mentioned an assistant there, and I think you're dead right. I think that AI as an assistant, as a supporting role is really key, and we've heard some other clients and people talk about that recently, and I think it is very true. That's exactly what it is. It's an assistant that isn't necessarily thinking through the best opportunity. It's not doing the creative critical thinking. It's kind of just doing what you tell it to do, and it will do it really bang on average, won't it? It doesn't do it genius, it doesn't do it badly, it just does it exactly like you want it to do, which is for those great.
Repetitive automated things, I just think there's
and you don't have to have a yearly review meeting with them either, so
there's no PMPs required.
You don't need to pay them a bonus. It's absolutely fine. I love the Pomodoro idea. I love the idea of the 25 minute. I know I'm sure I've mentioned it before on here, but John Cleese from Fawlty Towers and Monty Python, he always talked about, as creative people, never any more than 45 minutes, I think he was. Right. 45 minutes of creation of genius ideas is the most you can do. Because after that, you're starting to kind of just repeat yourself, and you're just not doing anything interesting, and you're maybe not scrolling when he was writing things in the 70s, but he's doing something that he's just kind of almost doing things automated without any sort of real intention and focus, which is never going to create anything brilliant, is it? It's just going to just
it's just almost diluting what you've already, the brilliance of...
So whether it's 25 minutes or 45 minutes or half an hour or whatever, I'm sure there's lots of research exactly what the figure is. It's not going to be a round number, probably. But whatever it is for you, whatever it is for your team, I think supporting that and understanding that, and letting people know what you're doing. You're saying, I'm working 25 minutes focused on this, and then I'm going to stand up and I'm going to walk around, because I can think of a few sort of managers and leaders who every 25 minutes they're up and walking around. What are they doing? Are they going for a cigarette? Are they what are they doing? But I think if you're very clear to your team and you say, this is what I do and this is how I achieve.
And it might be that you do that for like a couple of days out of the week, perhaps, and then there are days when you just need to like crack on. You've got loads of meetings, you've got and that might just, I mean, for me, I always try to have like Friday that's check in with clients, clear any urgents, but then really for the rest of the day record the podcast and kind of do like the sort of mop up of the week, but do some like halo activities and try and keep Monday to Thursday more client led. So I think even if you choose one day a week just to sort of see how it kind of starts. But yes, I agree, you can't just necessarily have that across the board. And then another thing, so as well as obviously doing this wonderful podcast, which keeps us on our toes with trends and keeping in touch with our wonderful network to invite guests on to speak about their experiences, we're also looking at developing slightly more around sort of learning modules and thought leadership from a Halo perspective. So it's still early days, but it's something that we're having more and more conversations around, sort of e-learning, bite-sized modules, commercial strategy, marketing, sales, how everything links in, revenue management. So we are exploring that, and I'll kind of maybe keep that in my back pocket until another time. But again, I think this would be another goal for Halo for this year, is to really kind of fully scope that out and deliver and have that as part of our kind of suite of services that we can then use with our clients and with with new clients as well. I think it's something that our feeling is that it would be really valuable to people having a sort of really bite-sized kind of intro overview, maybe not too much detail, maybe more detail for some clients, and seeing what value we can bring, what our experience and what our specialty can kind of share in bite-sized little pieces. So we think we can get that across. I mean, you're getting probably some of it from listening to a podcast, but really specific and in particular areas. I think it could be quite popular. But certainly if you're listening, let us know if that's something that you'd be interested in. You'd like to have a little half an hour of Ashley to yourself. That'd be really valuable feedback. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. And what would help in-house teams and how that can kind of support them with their learning. And I think by making it e-based and self-paced, it just gives that flexibility, doesn't it? And that can be used as part of maybe onboarding, or it can be used with cross-training. So there's lots of different opportunities. So that's another key project. And then kind of revisiting the marketing plan that I started last year and looking at again this year. I think mentioned earlier the sort of ABCs, and I think there's a lot we can do with that in terms of that framework and supporting hotels with rebrands, repositioning, and reopenings. I think we're very passionate about helping that kind of pre-opening and sort of setting the scene for that launch, and then kind of continuing to work with those clients on a fractional basis. And I think for anyone that's looking for input support, having a fractional leadership role in marketing and operations and guest experience. I think that's where we really kind of can plug ourselves into those in-house teams. And because we've worked in hotels, we've walked a mile in their shoes, we get it, and we can kind of really sort of be part of their team, albeit on a sort of fractional basis. And then you do know I love an award, don't you? So it's been wonderful to see our fantastic clients last year, some of them for the very first time getting awards, some of them for hotel openings that, the teams have worked so hard to deliver, and they've been such a, wonderful contribution from everyone from across the board from the hotels, partners, etc. So that's been wonderful. And then I was reminded in my phone that it was about a year ago since I won the Great British Businesswoman Award for Marketing and PR in their entrepreneur category. So I think we kind of, enjoyed sort of riding the success of that. But I have been looking at other awards, and Debbie Gilbert, who runs the Best Businesswoman Awards, has recently launched the Best SME Awards, deadline 22nd of January, and there's some amazing categories. So if you are looking at that for your business, I would absolutely recommend checking that out. There's something, certainly categories in there that I think would be relevant for Halo. So exploring those at the moment. And other small business awards. And I think, it awards, as we've spoken about before, and we have done a dedicated episode on, it should be part of your strategy and visibility and that endorsement. And
now is absolutely the best time to be looking at it, because you're already looking at all the reports. You already have all the information.
You've got all that data
to hand.
And build those case
you just throw
studies.
It together, have a look, see if you can create a nice story to it, a particular point that you want to make, probably directly related to the category and the questions that are in there. But we've done some episodes in the past of just how to write good entries for awards. So have a little listen to that one. But it's a great time of year to be looking at it, because it's a perfect time to kind of reflect and celebrate.
And also, I think with the again the AI bell, with AI and the changes with search, all of those like other external endorsements, whether it's press coverage, award wins, award finalists, it's all pulling that into your description. So if you Google your business now and you look at AI mode, it will pull in all of those sources and give a summary of your business. So thankfully Halo is noted as award winning, in case you're wondering, Mike. I did check.
The system works.
The system works. So, and then another thing as well on our radar is our kind of community and kind of volunteering activations. So, I need to just again kind of reach out with Sheffield Hallam, where I'm an entrepreneur in residence, and just look at what their calendar of events looks like for this year. So, we'll try, and they've just opened a new sort of business school, which the hospitality kind of cohort sits now. So just seeing if there's guest lectures or mentoring, what that looks like in terms of support for there, and also sort of re-looking at the girls network now. I think now got a little bit more capacity and looking at signing up for a new cohort for that, and then of course you've got your wonderful Sea Scouts, which you will be continuing with as we go on, which is great, looking at all those like amazing young minds and experiences.
Well, I mean, last month we had a bunch of 6-year-olds running around with nunchucks, so that was one of the I was like, do we have a risk assessment for that? So that was particularly challenging, but all good and amazing experiences for the little ones.
And I think it's just so important, and it's all that it's just from a social perspective, just having all of those opportunities to sample, everything from karate, there's cooking classes, when the weather's better, we're down on the beach, and it's just so enriching for their young minds. So it's great that you can lend your support to that,
keeping them away from phones and screens.
Absolutely. So I think, in terms of key activities, and hopefully that kind of sparks some thoughts, and then really, for us, as well as continuing to deliver work for our clients, of course, as any business is, we're looking at pipelines and looking at other opportunities, whether that's partnering with other smaller businesses, freelancers, to offer collaborative services. And I think that's where we've always been very open to whatever project that we're speaking to people about. If there's other specialist skills within our network that we can kind of tap in, and the client will always continue to deal with us, but in the background we can source insights and advice and support to deliver those bigger projects. I think always, if you're ever thinking, I wonder, do they do that? I mean, yes, maybe, yes, no. Ask the question.
But ask the question, and let's have a chat.
And we often know someone that can.
But that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's a yes, we can help. But we'll have to see exactly what we need to do. But it's always lovely to have chats, especially this time of year.
Yeah, I know. It's great. And always get really excited about how we can support. And I think, gosh, there's just such a strong pipeline of hotel openings, London, Edinburgh, Manchester, Liverpool. It just continues.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, that's just sort of just cherry picking a few out of the UK and obviously overseas as well. And I'm thinking back to, we helped launch 5-6 hotels in Bangkok, didn't we, a couple of years ago?
From this very room in
Whitley Bay, which is amazing. And it was obviously lovely to have visited Bangkok there last year as well, to see it all come to fruition. But so I mean, I think certainly not plugging too much, but please do get in touch if there's any hotel projects or any kind of business development projects you would like to chat to us about. We're always really open and very happy to share any advice, and no strings attached, so please do reach out. But I think just it's to really recap. I think January is a good time, as you say, to kind of look at last year, get that facts and data in, so you're making those informed choices, refining your plans, sort of sense checking that it's still relevant to your audience and who you're targeting. And then really, having the plan then, and really then it's around that kind of execution, monthly check-ins, quarterly check-ins, and then that kind of annual check-in. And it's just kind of just sticking to the plan, but still being flexible if there are kind of major refinements required as data comes in. But I do think, having a solid plan is going to set you up for success regardless.
Definitely. And I think actually just making that plan and adapting it and changing it if it needs be is crucial. And as The Rock would say, there's a couple of ways you can look at it. You can say, one day I'll do that, one day, or day one, right now, get started.
Love it.
Thank you for listening to The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashley and Michael Donald. We hope today's episode has offered some insights and encouragement to anyone navigating the world of hospitality or entrepreneurship. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, want to suggest a topic, or interested in just joining us as a guest, you'll find our contact details in the show notes. Don't forget to follow, like, or subscribe to The Halo Effect on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thank you, and we can't wait to welcome you back for more stories and inspiration.